As you'll recall, when we were using FM Robot to bring all the fields into our new database, it comments out some of the calculation fields as well as misses some of the lookup assignments that belong to certain fields. And again, that's because FM Robot does things in a sequential order. And if let's say it imports a number of fields and a calculation field is asking for a field that had not yet been imported or a relationship that had not yet been set up, then it can't accept that calculation in that field. And so what FM Robot does is it comments out the calculation, and then it puts a comment in the comments area of the database setup window. And it's very easy then to go back and find those after everything else has been set up and make those corrections. And they're usually very easy to accommodate. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to be going back and forth, especially when we encounter any lookup fields that need to be set, because what we'll want to do is reestablish those lookup parameters, and so we'll go back and forth between the original version of the files to find out what fields were being looked up, and then we'll go back into the new version of the database and actually make those. And we'll also uncomment any of the calculation fields, and if we see anything else, we'll address those. So let's do a few of these together here, and then I'll leave you on your own to do your own. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and forth between the Mac version of FileMaker, which is where I've got my original files here, and on the PC side, I've got right here, I've got the new version of the database. Now, don't worry about the 07. I'm working off different copies here, but for the sake of this demonstration, that should be fine. So what we're going to do here then, let's take a look in the new database first, and let's just bring up our Manage Database window. And we can look at the Fields tab, and let's do these in some kind of order here. Since I've already got the People file open, we'll go ahead and do that one first. So what you do is you go over to the third column here, and you click on the top in order to toggle yourself into comments mode. And when you do, you're going to see all of the comments that FM Robot left behind. So we're just going to go through and fix these one at a time. So let's start with the first one here. I'm just going to double click on this one, and you'll notice that it says FM Robot calculation has errors. Now usually when it says that, what they're talking about is it added comments because it couldn't, for example in this case, it probably couldn't resolve this relationship to get to this field. So at this point everything should work. All we have to do is select and delete the comment sections, and now we've got our calculation back, and we can just click OK. I also recommend that the comment field, if you want to leave the comments in there and maybe remove them at a later time, then you'd want to mark these in some way so that you know that these were done. I'm using the plus value down here, and then that plus value will let me know that I've addressed that issue and can move on to the next, just like that. Now we'll come down. Here's another one. Calculation has errors. It's going to be the same kind of a situation. So again, we just fix it, move on, come down here and add a plus sign. Now up to this point, when we're doing calculation has error repairs, all we really have to do in 99% of cases is just remove those and move on. But later on, when we get down here, I'm going to skip ahead. This one down here says FM Robot lookup option not set. Now this is, you know, there's usually a lot of lookup fields in most solutions, so you'll have to repair these by hand. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to double click on this. We're going to go to lookup value, and then here what we're looking for is looking up from a related table. So we need to know what related table we need to pull from. So let's just toggle back. This is our get fax user in the people table. So we're in the people table, and we can just come here and go into this, and then we'll go down to get fax where was that? That was called what again? Get fax user. Okay. So get fax user. B, C, D, E, F. Get fax user right down here. It's a lookup. We look up to see what is being looked up. So it's using the key people to user relationship and user one name. So we'll come back over here. Key people to user, and then that was the user one name, which I saw right down here. So that's all there is to that. So we fixed that one, and again I would add a plus down here so that we know that that's been done. And then you just move on through these. Now there are, let's see if we have any others here that stand out. Here it says FM robot field cannot be used in calculation. So, you know, I really haven't found any reason for that to be there. That seems to be more of a just kind of an alert rather than a repair. I don't believe that there's really anything that we can do here. This is a text field, and I don't see any special behaviors going on. Now, there is a calculated result here, but that doesn't appear to be set to do anything. No, nothing there. No, so like I say, when I have seen these, I actually haven't been able to find any problems with those. So I believe that FM Robot was just alerting us to something that doesn't really need any attention. Down here on this one, it told us that it actually renamed the field. The original name was reference 1. Now, again, I'm not quite sure why it might have done that, but in this particular case, I think that I can actually go back and rename that field. And again, this should not be a problem, and it's probably a good idea, because if this field was used in one of the scripts that we had copied and pasted in, it would be looking for the original name here. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back to its original name. And I'm also going to add a plus to that and click change. Now, naturally, if there was a duplicate field name that it had encountered here, it would have let us know, and we would have had to deal with that. But in this case, the problem was really non-existent. Okay, so anyway, you would just go through these for each one of your tables in turn, and you could go back and forth in order to find out how those lookups were set up between the Mac version and the PC version of FileMaker, and then that way you can quickly get everything back to normal. That's basically everything that needs to be done in order to get your fields back into business.